Once there was a time when all of Africa's animals could move freely across this great continent. There were no boundaries, no farms, skyscrapers or roads blocking their path. That was a long time ago. Now, thanks to land clearing and illegal hunting, every one of Africa's wild animals is living in either a game reserve or nature park. These reserves offer the best chance of survival for many rare and endangered species. Each one of them is a modern-day Noah's Ark. But this creates a new challenge: maintaining genetic diversity and preventing inbreeding, which can occur in small and confined populations. Some of the animals must be moved from ark to ark, and that's where the big game capture team comes in. The annual man-made migration of Africa's animals is about to begin. We're at the Shamwari Game Reserve on the Eastern Cape of South Africa. This wildlife haven is playing a vital role in the preservation of many of the world's rarest animals, from the wild dog to the endangered black rhino. Caring for the animals of this African ark is a big responsibility, and Shamwari has one of the world's most experienced wildlife departments backing it up. Today, the team are getting ready to move one of Africa's most endangered animals, the black rhino, and they're going to need some pretty big equipment backing them up. If this was a military exercise, then these guys would be the tanks of the African bush. They're massive walls of thick flesh and muscle with two lethal horns topping it off. The black rhino may look impenetrable, but it has one serious weakness: man. They've been poached for their horn to the point of extinction. There are less than 3,000 black rhino left in the world. Shamwari is doing its bit to help boost the population. In the past 13 years, a successful breeding program has doubled the number of black rhino at the reserve. Shamwari can now offer its rhino to other wildlife parks keen to take part in the fight to save these incredible animals. It takes a lot to move a rhino, but it will take just one little dart to bring it down. Veterinarian Dr. Johan Joubert should know. He's in charge of game capture at Shamwari.
We use a mixture of two drugs that's quite effective, quite potent. But to give you an idea of the strength of this, it's only about 0.25 of a milliliter that's going to take it down. So it's quite potent drugs that we're using.
These drugs are fatal if injected into a human.
The danger normally comes is the drugs in the dart is under pressure, and sometimes we do make a mistake that it squirt out or something and get it in your face. That's what we don't want.
Johan is talking from personal experience.
We had a dosage for an adult animal and we had to reduce the dosage, and I forgot it was under pressure, so I took the needle off and I ended up with the stuff in my face. So I washed out my eye and I thought it was alright, and then John drove away, but eventually I had to call him back quite quickly to come and give me the antidote.
But the best part was he was hanging on a tree just in case he fell down and we couldn't find him.
It's time to get down to some serious business. Shamwari's ecologist John O'Brien has been working with Johan for 15 years. He's going into the air to try and locate the rhino and dart it. Capturing black rhino is always a challenge. They prefer dense thicket and are much harder to locate than their cousin, the white rhino, which prefers open spaces. If the black rhino senses danger, it will hide in even thicker bush and will often stand still, making it impossible to spot from the air. On the ground, Johan and the rest of the team are tracking the chopper. They need to be nearby so they can reach the animal as quickly as possible once it goes down. The team have had a lucky break. It's been just 15 minutes and John has spotted a black rhino. Now comes the hard part, keeping it in sight until it moves into a clearing where John can get a clean shot. Despite its bulk, a rhino on the rampage can reach speeds of up to 55 kilometres an hour. It's also incredibly agile and can easily cut and weave its way through the bush. But there is a downside to all this running. The rhino could easily overheat and die. The sooner John darts it, the better. It's heading straight for a clearing. This will be the ideal spot to get off a shot. The team are moving into position.
Okay, he's going to dart here very close to Nola's open, so you guys must get around as quick as you can.
It's a direct hit, and the rhino is still heading towards the open field. Things are looking good. If he goes down out here, it will make loading so much easier. But there's a problem. The plunger on the dart hasn't gone all the way down. This rhino has only got half the tranquilizer dose. John is going to have to dart it again. The plunger has gone all the way in. The rhino is heading for the trees where it feels safest. The game capture team are right on its tail. Our rhino is stuck in the middle of a thorny acacia bush. The team is going to have to cut the tree down. Even asleep, this guy is proving a difficult customer. You'd think the rhino would avoid the thorns, but its skin is so thick, if this guy was awake, he'd be feeling little more than a tickle. It's important he's cooled down as quickly as possible. He's sweating badly, and the day is heating up. Now the crew have to get the rhino into a travelling crate, and the easiest way to do this is to wake him up. Lifting him would be next to impossible. This guy weighs almost half a ton. The crate is being lined up with the rhino's head. When it starts to stir, its initial reaction should be to lunge forward. Hopefully, this will take the rhino straight into the crate.
What we're going to try and do now is give it half the antidote dosage, and it's blindfolded, and then we'll try and walk it into the crate.
The rope around its backside will give it an added push should it decide to go the other way. The cotton wool in the ears helps block out sound. Rhino have extremely poor eyesight, but they will react to the slightest bit of noise.
Kev, is Kev going to speak to the guys there?
Johan is injecting the antidote. This counters the effects of the tranquilizer within seconds. This is always a tense time, waiting to see what the animal will do. The team have managed to bring in one of Africa's most dangerous animals, without injury to either man or beast. That's what good game capture is all about.
All in all, couple of little mistakes, but pretty well. I think it's a good result. It's a very, very nice rhino. Whoever gets this rhino is going to be very, very happy.
Back at the Shamwari Wildlife Centre, our rhino is being placed into a holding enclosure. The team still need to bring in 4 more rhinos to make up a family group. These animals will then be sold at auction. The money raised will be used to buy more black rhino from other reserves. It's the only way to ensure genetic diversity within Shamwari's breeding group. If Africa's animals are to survive in the long term, then the bloodline of each species must be constantly mixed with new stock. Moving wild animals safely is always a challenge. Successful game capture needs to be tailor-made to suit different species. Today, the team are rigging a system of curtains cleverly designed to trap antelope.
It runs in the form of a triangle. We chase the animals in with a helicopter from the broader side, which has a lot of curtains on it. Animals come through underneath the cable. We close the curtains behind it. The most important thing with this, obviously, the animals must know of nothing. They mustn't be able to see anything, must see none of the sails, none of the wings, anything, till they're inside.
If the antelope see or sense anything unusual, they'll turn and run the other way. The system will be put to the test at first light tomorrow. It's time to see how those game sales work. Today, the team is going after black wildebeest. In some parts of Africa, the massive migration of wildebeest still occurs. But in this part of the country, they need all the help they can get. It's an early start. The wildebeest need to be brought in before it gets too hot. Heat exhaustion is one of the biggest killers when you're trying to move wildlife. Wildebeest are herd animals, and flight is their best defence against predators. Calves can stand and run just 5 minutes after birth. The only way to keep up with them is in a chopper. Game capture is one of the most dangerous forms of flying. Every year, 10 to 12 helicopters crash doing this very job. And that's in South Africa alone. On the ground, everything is in place. The team are hiding behind the sails, waiting for the wildebeest to run past. They're in. The siren signals the workers to close the sails as quickly as possible. The wildebeest are trapped, but they're still a long way from the final sail that leads into the truck. The team need to herd the animals along. This is where it gets really dangerous for the workers. Someone could be trampled or gored in all the confusion. When pursued, wildebeest always seem to be running and turning. They look silly, but in fact, they're manoeuvring to keep track of the danger behind them. That was close. It's time for Grant, our chopper pilot, to step in. Now you can see why game capture flying is so risky. If you're going to get the wildebeest attention, then you need to be at animal level. And that can be too close for comfort. That's the final sail. Now we have to get them into the truck. There's There's always at least one or two stragglers more interested in putting up a fight than following the herd. Those horns can cause serious injury. They're solid bone covered in a keratin sheath. The tips can slice like a knife. It's not just people that are in danger. Once in the truck, they can easily gore other wildebeest. Shamwari's vet, Johan Joubert, is sedating all of the animals to minimise the risk of injury and lessen their stress levels. It's important the team get the wildebeest to the holding enclosures as quickly as possible. It's starting to warm up. It should have been a short drive, but things don't always go according to plan. The weight of the fully loaded truck has caused it to get stuck on a corner.
Bruce, I need guys this side. I need guys this side. I'm stuck here.
There's no time to waste.
Bruce, as soon as we get the tie up, it'll be fun. As soon as we get the tie up a little bit. Okay, guys, we gotta pull the back here, okay? Cameron, you're gonna watch it. Everyone must push as hard as they can, eh? Okay.
These wildebeest will also be sold at the game sale. Funds raised will go towards buying more wildebeest, ensuring Shamwari maintains its genetic diversity. If only this bull understood it was for its own good. He's determined to put up a fight. Bruce and Kevin are going to try to get behind the animal and coax it out. They're using the wooden planks to protect themselves. At least that was the plan. A horn has slipped through the gap in the board and gone into Kevin's leg.
Okay, Niels, we need to get you in here. Kevin's got a hole in his leg.
Take Kevin.
Get in here quickly, please.
Come on, get in here now.
It's through his muscle. Come on, get in here.
Kevin has suffered a nasty wound. The horn has cut through the muscle.
You must try and work the best with the animals as you can without stressing them out and causing heat exhaustion for them, and as well as with the staff that you're working with, because you can't have any fatalities on your staff side either. So it's a very tricky situation and it's difficult, but we must do the best we can.
The game capture team is down one member, and there are still plenty of animals to be moved. This next animal to take part in the man-made migration is even tougher than the black rhino. Buffalo have few natural enemies and are capable of defending themselves against a lion. But that doesn't make them invincible. Illegal hunting and the loss of suitable habitat are taking their toll on the species. Arcs like Shamwari offer them a safe haven. For the game capture team, this animal is one of the most dangerous to bring in. Coming up against a buffalo is like hitting a mountain of muscle with attitude. In the air is the safest place to be. The team on the ground are in the greatest danger. Buffalo are extremely quick and cunning at camouflage. When hunted, they've been known to circle back on their pursuers and counterattack.
I'm definitely right inside.
Ecologist John O'Brien has just radioed in. He's darted a large male. The support team need to stay close. They've got to get to the buffalo as soon as it goes down, or it could regurgitate its stomach contents and choke.
They drink water at night, so the stomachs are very full in the morning, but we can only do it in the morning when it's cool. So once the animal is down, we must try and get to it quite soon, that we can keep it on its sternum and with its head upright Otherwise they very often regurgitate and they get all the stomach contents in the lungs. So they are actually quite tricky to work with.
The buffalo is moving towards the thickest part of the bush. That's where they can camouflage themselves the best.
Well, the problem is we can't get them out of the bush. You know, they know we want to dart them, they know we want to load them, do all these funny things with them, and basically they know the safety is in the bush, so they keep on going back to the bush.
The buffalo isn't slowing, and it's getting dangerously close to the river. It's not looking good. The buffalo has gone down in the water. The team has to act fast. It's a big old bull. Luckily, it's fallen in the shallow. It's already inhaled some fluid. Any more could be fatal. The team have to get it out of here as quickly as possible. Everyone is busy with a set job. A path is being cleared up the steep bank to pull the buffalo out. This isn't going to be easy. This guy weighs around 800 kilos. Just getting him onto the stretcher will be hard enough.
Fuck, guys, I don't like a cow.
Like Rhino, buffalo can also overheat. And this guy has had a long run. He needs to be cooled down. It's going to take some serious moving power to get this animal up the riverbank. It's just as Johan had feared. The buffalo is regurgitating its stomach contents. The sooner they can get it in the truck and standing up, the better. A pulley has been tied around a tree to help take the extra weight. Finally, they're at the top.
Yeah, so just take it up quickly in your position up there. Get out of it.
Johan is preparing the antidote to counteract the tranquilizer and get the bull up on its feet.
He's given the antidote now, so give it to me and wake up in about 5 minutes.
So just leave the one. Get up. Under the circumstances, I think it went all right. You know, it's up on its feet now, and my big concern was that the pressure on his legs was too bad, so I think it's all right. The problem is it aspirated quite a bit of the stomach contents, and that can create a problem afterwards for us. But so far, so good.
All of Shamwari's buffalo are TB free, and that makes them highly sought after. This guy will soon be on his way to a new wildlife reserve, where he'll join up with another breeding group. Sometimes it's the smallest animals that can be the hardest to bring in. The Impala is Africa's flightiest antelope, and the game capture team need to make some modifications to the sail system. Impala are very cautious, and there's a good chance they'll spot the sails before they go in. Extra camouflage is needed.
If slightest sign of sails or anything like that, or the guys sticking their heads out or anything, never get them in again. And once you miss them once, chances of getting them back to the same system almost impossible.
The base runner for the sails also needs to be removed. The Impala will approach very slowly. They won't run. And the first thing they'll spot is the cable on the ground. Everything is in place, and the team is getting into position.
Basically, we keep as still as possible, and hopefully the wind is the right direction blowing into the sails, so they don't smell any of us.
It doesn't take long. That was close. It looked like they were going to turn and run the other way. The herd is down to the final curtain, but they're refusing to go through. This is the typical way Impala react to danger. All the running around is designed to confuse a predator, making it difficult to pick out a single target. You can see how they jump. Impala can cover up to 11 metres in one bound. Impressive for an animal so small. People often joke about the big M shape on their bottoms. This in fact plays an important role. It makes it easier for the Impala to follow each other in all this confusion. They really are feisty little animals. That's one of the reasons they've survived when other species have been wiped out. Now to South Africa's most endangered predator, the wild dog. There are less than 6,000 left in the wild, and they could be extinct within 30 years. Loss of habitat and persecution by farmers has decimated their population. The wild dog has a bad reputation as a ruthless killer. They will hunt down an animal and start feeding on it while it's still alive. But wild dogs also have a soft side. They're incredibly social animals and get along well as a group. Even the scene of a kill is polite and orderly. Pups will eat first, while the rest of the pack will feed off the leftovers. Luckily, our African arcs recognise just how special these animals are. Shamwari's wild dog breeding program has been so successful it can now move some of the pack to another reserve where it will start a new breeding group. Today, the team need to dart 5 of the animals to relocate them. Veterinarian Dr. Johan Joubert must be careful which animals he picks. Wild dogs can live in family groups of up to 100 members, and they have a definite hierarchy. An alpha female is in charge of all the females, and an alpha male is the boss of the boys. Johan is choosing the lesser members of the group to ensure the dominant animals remain. If the group lost their top dogs, it would cause all sorts of heartache and confusion.
Where's he gone? Right at the back there now. Hold on.
You can see just how close these animals are. Even though they sense danger from the dart gun, they won't leave their family members. While the pack is being broken up, it's good news for these dogs. Usually, only the highest ranking male and female will mate. These animals will now form a new pack and be able to have puppies of their own.
Some of them are still feeding, but once they finish that, they'll most probably start looking for the ones that's gone. But because the dominant male and the dominant female, the alpha male and female, they're still there, it shouldn't disrupt the structure too badly. It was a little bit windy, but it was actually much easier than we thought. Much less fighting. Sometimes they really start to bite each other once they start to go down. It really went well.
The dogs will be moved to their new home in a couple of weeks. For now, they'll be staying at Shamwari in a small enclosure. Here, they'll get used to going it alone without the rest of the pack. It won't be long before a new hierarchy is established, and they'll be ready to fend for themselves. Now to Africa's largest land animal, the elephant, and one of the biggest challenges for the game capture team. These majestic animals can weigh up to 6 tons, stand 3 metres tall, and are so strong they can bulldozer a tree in a matter of seconds. When you're bringing in something this powerful, it pays to have some pretty serious equipment backing you up. The game capture team are well prepared. They've hired a special loading crate that's been designed specifically for elephants.
This is what the compartments the guys use to wake the elephants up in. It joins with another compartment similar to this. You can see it's got a wide door on the one side. Elephants get dragged in from that side, and it's got a narrower section on the other compartment that joins up to this one. Then this whole unit gets placed onto another trailer that gets pulled to the back of this big container behind us here, and then the elephants get woken up inside here. Sliding doors get opened and they get moved through into the bigger container here.
It's the only way to wake an elephant up. Once they're down on their side, they need a lot of space to manoeuvre so they can get their hefty bulk into a standing position. Everything is nearly in place, and Johan and the team are getting the drugs ready. It's time to find the elephant and dart it. The best way of doing this is from the air. The Shamwari Game Reserve is over 20,000 acres, and that's a lot of land to cover. On the ground, the rest of the team are moving into position. They are all too aware that the elephant are one of the most difficult animals to capture.
Okay, the first problem is obviously we're working with animals that's quite heavy. So just the mere size of them make them quite difficult. And then the other problem is we need to get them, where they go down, we need to get a crane truck in to load them. And then obviously, because it's quite wet today, it might be quite difficult, but we'll have to see what happens.
Let's hope the rain holds off long enough for John to dart the elephant. And there it is. It's a young bull. He's going to be moved to another game reserve where he can take part in a breeding program. He looks like he's the perfect candidate. Of course, getting the elephant to cooperate is proving to be another matter altogether. The dart's in, and the first thing John is checking is that the plunger has gone down and the elephant has received the full dose of tranquilizer. It's looking good. But this elephant isn't giving up. It's running on sheer adrenaline. The chopper is trying to steer it away from the bushes, as this will make it difficult to load. But this elephant isn't cooperating. Johan and the team are tracking it on the ground. They need to be nearby so they can get to it as quickly as possible once it goes down, just in case it falls in a bad position.
Obviously they must lie sideways, but the other problem is we must be able to reach them with a truck, especially the adults. If we can't reach them with a crane truck, we might even have to make them awake again. It's the antidote, but hopefully we should not need to do that.
The elephant has gone down deep in the bushes, and the only way the truck is going to be able to reach it is to clear a path. This truck is being used to ferry the elephant to the larger loading containers. The team have to work fast. The less time the elephant is sedated, the faster its recovery time will be. Rope has been tied around the elephant's feet and a crane is being used to lift the elephant onto the back of the truck. There's no way sheer manpower could move an animal this heavy. It might look a bit awkward, but it's causing the least amount of stress on the animal's body. The safety belts will stop it rolling off on its short journey to the loading truck. Let's just hope the truck doesn't get stuck in the mud on the way out. After all, it has nearly 5 tons of excess baggage weighing it down. It's time to get the elephant into the larger compartment where it will be woken up. Johan is preparing the antidote that will counteract the effects of the tranquilizer. He's injecting the antidote into the ear. This is usually the easiest place to find a vein on an elephant. The drug will take effect within minutes, and it's important everyone gets to a safe place before it wakes up. The elephant's on its feet and starting to move through to the narrow travelling compartment. Once inside, the door will be quickly shut behind it. And there it goes. Our elephant is now on its way to its new home, where it will be playing a vital role in maintaining the genetic diversity of Africa's elephant populations. The countdown is on. It's just 1 week to the game sale, and the team need to bring in 3 different animals today. Things are going to get very busy. First up are lechwe. They're one of Africa's oddest looking antelope. Their hindquarters are set higher than the rest of the body, and that causes an awkward running motion. They're in. But this guy has other plans. It's a rough and tumble start for the game capture team, and there's still 2 more animals that need to be brought in. Next on the agenda are white Springbok. It was easy getting them in, but keeping them there could be another matter. One of the sails is stuck. It's the perfect escape route. If the Springbok get out, it'll be impossible to trick them back in again. Now that was close. They've gone straight into the truck. The team have to work fast. Springbok have horns like lancers. They could easily gore another animal. These pipes will prevent any injuries. Not so long ago, these animals were hunted to the point of extinction as they were an easy source of meat for the early settlers. Now, thanks to conservation efforts, their numbers are steadily growing. You can see why those pipes are so important. That's 2 down and 1 to go. Next up is one of Africa's most beautiful animals, the zebra. That seemed too easy to be true, and it was. The stallion managed to slip away from the herd. He's been darted separately. It looks like the plunger hasn't gone all the way down. Finally, the stallion goes under, and the team can start loading him. Shamwari's inventory of animals is almost complete. So far, everything's been running smoothly, but this could all change tomorrow. The team need to bring in one more black rhino. There's no time to waste. Johan needs to locate a black rhino that's just been darted. Johan always goes first to ensure it's safe for the rest of the team to follow. The rhino has taken 2 darts. The plunger on the first one didn't go in, and it looks like the second one has only given him half a dose. Johan needs to top it up. No sooner has Johan got the rhino to sleep than he's waking him up. A cloth has been placed over the rhino's eyes to help keep it calm. The less he sees, the more chance he'll go straight into the crate.
Okay, is everybody in a safe place?
Johan is administering the antidote to counteract the effects of the tranquilizer. These crates have been specially built to hold rhino. The sides are reinforced with steel. It's the only way to stop an animal this powerful breaking out. A long-acting sedative will help keep it calm and stop it injuring itself. Our rhino breeding group is complete. But there's still one more animal that needs to be brought in. Springbok may look small, but their very name means they're going to be a difficult customer. Just look at them jump. These tiny antelope can leap up to 4 meters in the air, and they can run incredibly fast. There's only one way to catch them, and that's the old-fashioned way, with vehicles and nets.
Okay, Springbok capture One problem is the herd tend to split up, so they don't stay in a herd. And very often if you chase them with a helicopter, the helicopter fly on top of them and then they just scatter, so they can't chase them into the capture system as a herd.
Instead, you have to speed to keep up with them. Springbok can run up to 88 kilometres an hour.
But it gets a bit chaotic at times. It's a little bit primitive. We found that with Springbok in particular, it's the only animals we actually still do like this, that the system works well.
The idea is to herd the Springbok into a system of nets where their antlers become caught and they can't get out.
If you can go along the public road to the right, back to the offices, just keep them north of the road. Yeah, that's not too far ahead.
The chase is on. Shamwari's vet, Johan Joubert, is injecting all of the animals with a sedative to keep them nice and calm. If they struggle too much, they could break their antlers off. It's only the best for the Springbok. Each animal is being chauffeur-driven back to the holding yards. The game sale begins tomorrow. It's going to be perfect weather for the game sale. The crowds are already arriving. It looks like a good turnout. Buyers from reserves all around South Africa have turned up, and the Wildlife Department is going all out to ensure they're well looked after. So much depends on this day. The funds raised here will help finance Shamwari's future conservation efforts.
You put so much effort into the game capture, I guess you're a bit nervous, you just don't know what prizes you're going to get on the day.
You never know. We've got indication of some of the animals, but the more expensive animals we don't know, so I'm afraid we'll have to find out.
The money will go towards purchasing new animals to ensure genetic diversity and prevent inbreeding within this African ark.
A sale of any sort takes a lot of effort and a lot of hard work for months and months before the sale. It takes years of planning, really. This sale has been particularly well organised, and to Johan Joubert, to John O'Brien, and to the whole team at Shamwari, there's hundreds of you guys here, and all the wives and girlfriends and so on. We say thank you to them for putting this high-quality sale together, a very professional sale, and the quality in the games there. I think we can give them a very big hand. They've done an outstanding job. Thank you.
The black rhino are the rarest of the animals and should fetch the highest price.
All right, move on to a very, very special moment here, and this is the black rhino.
If they don't sell, then Shamwari won't be able to buy new black rhino, and this will limit their breeding program.
340,000, hammers up, fair warning, all through, and all done at 340,000.
It's about $50,000 for each rhino. A good price. There's only one thing left to do. Load the animals and send them off to their new homes. The black rhino are getting extra special treatment. Each horn is being fitted with a radio tracking device so their new owners can keep a careful watch over them and protect them from poachers. It's incredible to think that these unassuming shavings from the horn are what make black rhino so valuable and so endangered. These guys here are the lucky ones. They'll continue to live their lives in safety thanks to African arcs like Shamwari. Maybe one day we will be able to take the fences down and the animals will roam freely once again. But for now, the fences are the only thing protecting the wildlife. They offer the best chance of survival for many of Africa's rare and endangered species.